Good afternoon, everyone. Record floods, Saudi Arabia, tornadoes, Saudi Arabia, record floods, Yemen, Chad, flooded mega lakes refilling. There's definitely a pattern to it. I've pinpointed it on the map. It'll be very clear where our world is shifting. Let's get into it. And I will bring the point back up through October. These gas giants are squaring in the outer solar system, not seen since 79 AD. Now you see the sun, the earth, and then we have a squaring of our gas giants. Will this have any effect on our planet? Gravitationally, electromagnetically? To be seen. But with the uptick in strangeness that we're seeing with the tides and the winds, the rains, it does seem like it's coming into the correct timeline. 2024 left, 79 AD right. I would say that's a once in a 2,000 year pattern repeating. And speaking of long duration repeat patterns, let's look at the African mega lakes. This would be a 4,000 year cycle in itself. Lake Chad, and you'll notice it encompasses Chad, Niger, and Nigeria. And that little tiny little blue at the bottom there is where it dried out to presently, but when it refills, it's going to fill up the entire blue. If you're following the shoreline in and you're establishing towns, villages of what was the old shoreline, and then it refills, obviously towns are going to get flooded. Here we go. Almost the entire country of Chad, 750,000 people affected by floods. Central Africa. You need to widen it out. Anywhere there's a river basin, a stream, or a low-lying area turned into this. Now, obviously, it will drain to some point, but these mega lakes are going to continue to fill. This is what about the depth of it through just neighborhoods, and we see again the infrastructure not able to hold together. We can try our best attempts at putting a deep gouge in the road to create some sort of water buffer, and then what happens when that breaks through? You have another flooded roadway there. I mean, there's only so much you can do against these all-encompassing, massive multi-country floods. Looking at Niger here. Again, this is a copy. This is the bottom of a mega lake refilling. So at what point do people put two and two together and say, wow, if there's going to be way more above ground precipitation, perhaps we could set up a new grow zone there. I wonder who would be funding that and who's already in play to jump on a new agricultural zone emerging on our planet. BRICS nations will control the African Sahel new to be grow zone. Is going to be a new area to grow crops on our planet. That was already slated a few years back. Now it's in earnest, visible, proof of concept, that stuff coming from the sky, refilling lakes. You can grow crops with that too. Now we just need some modern tech and some infrastructure investment. And guess who's there to facilitate those needs as well? Russia and China. We're going to move into the dry sands of the desert, shifting, well, this time by massive floods. This is near Mecca in Saudi Arabia. The amount of water coming down here is tremendous, to say the least. And those mountains in the background are part of the reason. There's a 5,000 foot tall mountain range that separates the center, quote, empty quarter where you come in and it's complete sand in there, out to the Red Sea shoreline. And if you thought that was large, it just seems to be land being scoured away. Now the mountains look very similar in the background, so I think it's some of the same location, just a different photographer coming in here taking video. JP Morgan and Citigroup now forecast 2 supersized Fed cuts this year. The stock market crashed in 2000 and 2007 after the first rate cut. In 2007, gold went up over 200%, more than doubling. Silver tripling. Because gold is security in times of uncertainty. And Patriot Gold Group has an OP for Life IRA where your IRA or 401k could be in physical gold or silver. No fee for life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. And then the deserts themselves, these streams seem to be overflowing into this sort of flash flood type of thing, really wide floodplains. Obviously, streams aren't very deep. It just spills over and it goes where it is. Now, the beginning of the flood, you can see people are just inundated by these first waves of the flash flood coming down. Now, we've seen some of these same images coming out. Oh, there's lightning. Saudi Arabia, also Jordan had quite a few of these wadi floods where huge swaths of the desert turned into moving waterways, and we can see just a small glimpse of this. Ferocious, people aren't used to dealing with this type of deep water on rivers and streams. Now, this is in the neighborhoods right near Mecca again, but you can see the same commonality. Our infrastructure is not holding in place. Roadways, bridges, pipes, whatever it is that we think our modern infrastructure is so resilient that it can withstand anything because we're so engineering proud these days, your bridge is gone. And even just a foot deep of water has paralyzed the city. You look at this and say, can it get stranger? Yeah, this is also near Mecca also. Is it an EF1 tornado in the Saudi Arabian desert? I look at this. Those of you who are more familiar with tornadic activity and can explain this one to me, that is not a dust devil. Especially when it gets a little bit closer in at the top of the funnel there, it looks like everything I've seen out of Dorothy's Wizard of Oz. This is an EF1 tornado. Now, what's causing all this is the question, like where is the bunching coming up? And I slowed that down for you. You be the judge. Is that a tornado? And another strange atmospheric anomaly, lightning strikes the Royal Clock Tower in Mecca. Close in for you here. We've seen Statue of Liberty get struck, Sears Tower, a few areas in Singapore, not normally getting gargantuan lightning, and now Mecca. This is an intense atmospheric shift going on. So what I was doing during the video here was finding these locations on the map. So Mecca obviously, and just tremendous amounts of rain, and I have other locations too that I'm pinning together here. We got Jazan, and then we also have what says Al Darb, and this is in some of the same areas. So I started putting these on the Google map, and what do you see? Mecca at the far top there, that yellow, and you follow the mountain range down, and then we get to Al Darb, and then Jazan. Now if you go a little bit further south into Yemen, you see the Marib Dam, but it seems like the weather pattern is from west to east, and let me zoom that out for you because we're going to talk about Taiz in just a minute down in Yemen, another record flood. So if the weather's coming like in America, it comes from west and going east, that 5,000 to 7,000 foot mountain range on the west coast of Saudi Arabia, right there at the Red Sea, that is stopping all of the moisture from moving, and it's raining out along that mountain range right there. So for me, looking at this type of torrential rain, this is Taiz. This is not normal rain. This is 14% more moisture in the atmosphere from the Hunga Tonga eruption, clashing into a mountain range with a completely changed precipitation pattern that's now sandwiched in mountains and rains out every time it hits. It's like the windward side of an island somewhere in the Pacific. It rains a huge amount more than the leeward side. And then Yemen also having these enormous rock slides as of late too. Something is causing the rocks to perturb and then cascade. It's not the first instance. This is just a pretty large one. But it's been happening dozens and dozens of times along with these floods. I started covering these floods here in the same area, no kidding, in 2015. And you knew that was part of a shift that was happening. So add all these pieces up. And what do I see? Can I take you to the new Renaissance Dam, the Grand Renaissance Dam over on the left there, Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. That's the largest hydroelectric project in Africa. Now see, they had built this as a white elephant project. Planning began somewhere around 2008, when this was still one of the driest areas on the planet. We got the massive floods all along. You can see that line specifically where all this moisture is. And then, if you look at that one where it says Marib Dam, that was the largest dam at the time along the frankincense route, the largest inland water body that was around the Arabias, quote unquote, around 800 AD. So if that was the one that would fill, then you would expect it to refill in the same place, just like the mega lakes. So now you start seeing method to the madness and why this area of real estate is becoming so valuable for so many nations. Go way beyond just what the ports are. Reliable electricity in a new developing grow zone emerging that would also have all the hallmarks to restart the global economy based on a debt-based system for another 80-year turning, all focused in on bringing the Sahel up and bring it into agricultural productivity that would match or surpass Canada and the United States combined on a double rotation crop. Let that sink in for a second alone, just that one aspect. But then start to electrify with multiple hydroelectric dams going down into Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Sudan. And then you have a mega development zone. And then right over into the, like I say, the empty quarter. You get Yemen. You get parts of Oman, and you got that whole swath there of Saudi Arabia coming in with an enormous amount of rain. Think again, agricultural rollout. Now couple all these pieces together, and what do we have? Well, we have the perfect conditions for a new economy to emerge, a super economy, if you will. Regional economy in the Middle East, North Africa, BRICS. They already knew it was coming. The BRICS is a smokescreen so the general populace doesn't understand the shift. They'll distract you with the gold for a minute, and then your food's going to roll up 10x in price. Please share this information with friends and family. I appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video. Leave your comments in the box below where else you see massive floods happening. I can't follow all the news all the time. I do the best I can, but if you see any other dots on the map in desert areas that are flooding, please, I want to keep adding it like Christian did to the extreme weather events, but I'm more focused on the floods in the deserts that validate a new grow zone possibility and potentiality moving forward. Bye for now.